Most people overpay for products like this. Here's why this one is different. I've used a bunch of plasma cutters over the years, and the Lincoln Tomahawk 45 is the first one that actually feels like it was designed for real work instead of just looking good on a shelf. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What really stands out is how easy it is to set up and start cutting. The 2.8-inch LCD screen isn't just for show, it gives you clear feedback on amperage, voltage, and consumable life so you're never guessing. I've worked with machines that bury settings in menus, but this one keeps everything right there on the display. That's huge when you're trying to finish a project before the sun goes down. Portability matters, especially if you're a contractor or DIYer who moves from job to job. This thing weighs about 15 pounds, which is light enough to toss in the back of a truck but still feels solid when you're cutting for hours. I've carried it up ladders, across yards, and even through tight shop spaces without feeling like I'm lugging around a tank. The touch start system is a game saver when you're cutting sheet metal or expanded metal. No more smacking a switch or praying the pilot arc catches. You just touch the metal, press the trigger, and the arc fires right away. I tested it on rusty, painted, and even slightly warped metal, and it lit up every time without hesitation. Continuous output control lets you dial in the right amperage for whatever you're cutting, thin sheet metal, thick steel, or something in between. I ran it at 20 amps for 16-gauge sheet and cranked it to 45 amps for half-an-inch steel plate. The arc stayed stable in both cases, which means less slag cleanup and smoother edges. Rapid arc restrike is where this cutter really shines. If you've ever cut expanded metal or a grid pattern, you know how frustrating it is when the arc dies in a gap and you have to restart. With this machine, the arc comes back almost instantly, so you can keep moving without stopping to reignite. I cut a 2x4-foot piece of expanded metal in under 5 minutes, and the edges were clean enough to weld right away. Long consumable life is another big win. Lincoln includes several extra electrodes and nozzles in the box, and even after hours of cutting, the consumables still looked good. The torch stays cool too, which means you're not burning your hand every time you switch materials. That's not just comfortable, it's safer when you're working long shifts. Safety features are often an afterthought, but the parts in place system actually checks that everything is assembled correctly before you fire it up. If a consumable isn't seated right or a part is missing, the machine won't start. That's saved me from a few mistakes already, especially when I'm working fast or in low light. Now, it's not perfect. The included ground clamp is a little flimsy, it works, but if you're cutting thick material or working outside in wind, you might want to upgrade to a heavier-duty clamp. Also, the instruction manual is pretty basic, so if you're new to plasma cutting, you'll probably want to watch a couple of setup videos before you start. Overall, the Lincoln Tomahawk 45 delivers exactly what it promises: reliable cuts, easy setup, and a design that holds up under real conditions. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a pro, it's hard to beat this kind of performance at this price. Check it out using the link below if you want to see the latest details on Amazon. For most buyers, the real question is not whether Lincoln Tomahawk 45 Handheld Plasma Cutter K5458-1 sounds impressive on paper, but whether strengths like 2.8 inches LCD screen for an easier and user-friendly user and lightweight and portable, easily carried by one person, actually make daily use feel easier, more dependable, and more worthwhile after the first few days of excitement were off. It is also smart to think about long-term satisfaction. A product like Lincoln Tomahawk 45 Handheld Plasma Cutter K5458-1 usually feels like the better buy when it stays convenient, comfortable, and reliable in normal everyday use instead of only looking good in the listing.